do anything. But this other organization was certainly told, you have to promise not to picket in front of Planned Parenthood or you can't have your tax exempt.
Oh, Malik, he was in the news today. He's trying to sell some Barack memorabilia.
Made in China, I'm sure.
I guess, yeah. Well, no, that would be they hacked into it and got the design.
Exactly, they hacked into it.
But let's get back to this IRS stuff. Now, that's pretty interesting, all the revelations over the past few weeks, and the fact that so many Tea Party organizations have joined in this Jay Sekulow suit. Mm-hmm. I noticed on the list is two of them from right here in Virginia, the Manassas Tea Party and the Richmond Tea Party, which are the ones I always used as the example that had stated unequivocally that they thought they were being targeted.
Oh, they were asked for a picture. They wanted their volunteer list. They wanted their members list. They wanted pictures from their Facebook pages, all ridiculous requests from them. And I spoke with Jamie Radke directly about that and got a lot more insight in what happened with Richmond.
Yeah, I had spoken with Lawrence Nordvig. He's the executive director for the Richmond Tea Party. And also, he was interested in seeing what we thought about this very issue. Mm-hmm. So we're going to pick his brain at some point in the near future and find out exactly what prompted them to join the suit before we come to a definitive conclusion.
Right.
We're apparently, as an organization, as a board, we are leaning towards joining in that Tea Party.
Absolutely.
I don't think I heard one dissenting vote in our communications.
No. They were all like, absolutely. We were given the same litany of information to fill out as Richmond was in our first attempt to acquire this tax exempt. So
yeah, wasn't that something? I mean, you can't say it wasn't a pattern. We weren't being targeted. When organizations across the country are being asked for the same thing. And it's discriminatory in nature. If you differ with this administration ideologically, you're on the list.
What a blatant abuse of power, and they have no regard for it. This woman is on administrative leave.
Oh,
are you kidding me? Paid administrative leave.
Hey, where do I get that?
Yeah, exactly. And this has been like a mission of hers in life, and this administration has just given her a free pass. She's been adamantly, I think for, a couple of decades with her affiliation with the IRS, trying to target these conservative groups for her one world order. And once Obama's administration came into play, she was given an open door and was given directives. I mean, they have now legal documentation of directives to target these organizations and individuals that contributed. I mean, look at the list of people that contributed to any organization like this, any conservative organization.
GOP contributor list from last fall election, they're being audited.
Absolutely.
But that's not the only thing. People should concern themselves with the overreach of the IRS simply because they're not only targeting conservative organizations, they're targeting donor lists.
Yeah.
They are insinuating themselves into the Obamacare debacle by saying that they have authority that's not vested in them by the law. So they've usurped part of the law and said, we're going to administer this and we'll do this and we'll do that. So they are out there. They are. They are a power.
This is
unto
your
themselves.
government attacking you. This is your government attacking your very way of life. We have a call.
Okay, well let's.
Yeah, I think James Hampton. Is that his name? James Hampton.
James in Hampton.
Oh, he's in Hampton. James from Hampton is on the phone. Okay, gotcha. James, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Hey, James, what's your question? What's going on in Hampton?
Oh, well, we don't have a Tea Party chapter over here.
Yes, you do. Carl Anderson. Yes, sir. Carl Anderson is the chairman of that Tea Party organization in Hampton.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Because I called before. Well, I saw a guy on the internet on Facebook.
Okay.
And he said that their chapters, they have one in Hampton that you had to go to, or he didn't know of one in Hampton.
Okay.
And I would either have to go to Norfolk or to Suffolk.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
they do. I'll have to. I'll have to remember that.
Well, I've got Carl's number.
Well,
When we get
we're just trying to steal you away from the peninsula.
exactly.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
traveled over there. Listen,
Yeah, we were former IRS agents, so nothing
Exactly.
beyond our reach.
I talked to an IRS agent. It's been a year or so ago. I owed the government some money under. Well, anyway, I had made an honest mistake, and I actually got the name of the agent, the IRS agent, and we were talking, and that was when the Obama administration first came into being. And she told me we were talking, and she wanted to know about. I'm a totally disabled from my work, and she was really inquisitive about how you go about getting total disability.
What did they want from you, though? What were they saying?
Yeah.
She was. Well, they wanted the money, and I had to pay them $2,000 to $3,000 interest in about that built up for a delay 2 months. But anyway, she told me, she said, if we make a mistake, any IRS agent makes a mistake, any kind of mistake, an honest mistake or whatever, the first time they are fired.
Oh, that's
They're
not.
gone.
I can tell you that's not true.
That's
There's been
not true.
Many
That's so
documented
erroneous.
cases where they would give bad advice on the phone
Absolutely.
through ignorance.
Yeah, they
and
don't get
can't be
any.
held
Yeah,
accountable.
they don't get a consequence whatsoever.
But James, I have to tell you, I'm shocked that you would withhold funds to the government that subsidize all of these programs which these
which we do not
these people
support.
depend upon. Man, come on, there's millions of people on welfare that depend on your payments.
That's
sometimes.
right. That's right. They thought they were going to run out of money before you got your funds in there.
Yeah, it's a good thing you
All
came on
taxes
board.
are illegal.
Exactly.
All taxes are illegal.
Well, I don't know about
Every
that,
single
but
one
I
of
know
them.
they should be.
Yeah.
But James, look, we're gonna run because we're coming up on a break.
But stay on the line. Our gal's going to give you a phone number so you can get in touch with Carl Anderson. So we'll leave you here, but our gal in the room next to us, she's got Carl's number. She's going to give you his number so you can hook up with him in Hampton.
Oh well, thanks for calling,
Okay.
James.
Thank you, James.
All right.
Keep
That was-
listening, buddy.
Yeah, keep
I
your name in the
just got this phone number here recently.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. Well, thanks for calling
Yeah.
and
Tune in.
get the number from.
We need your support. Thank you. Tune in.
All right, talk to you later,
I went
buddy.
I went to the thing a couple of years ago.
Okay.
All right. Well, look, we're coming up on a break in a minute or so here, and so the next thing we're going to be talking about, we've joked around about this IRS stuff enough, so we're going to move on to the 85th delegate race in a few minutes, and we're going to talk about the GOP convention and the ticket that we have now. And if time permits, we're going to cover some stuff about Ted Cruz and the GOP and why he doesn't trust the leadership. So we'll be right back after these messages. And next up, we're going to talk about the 85th delegate race. So stay tuned.
Tanning Salon, and we're back for another season of It's Never Too Late to Get Naked. We've done a lot of remodeling, but we still have the great price of only $18.88 a month. That's right, you can tan for only $18.88 a month. 4 levels of tanning, including high-pressure beds, bronzing beds, stand-up booths, and of course, Magic Tan. UV-free spray booth. Takes less than a minute, lasts over a week. Come take a tour with any of our friendly, knowledgeable staff at any location. You'll see for yourself why Copacabana Tanning makes all the difference. Open 7 days a week to give you that honey golden brown tan you want. Call 961-5291, 961-5291, or go to CopacabanaTanning.com. We're at 829 Lynn Haven Parkway behind Red Lobster outside Lynn Haven Mall in Virginia Beach, or our Norfolk location at 501 North Military Highway. Don't get caught in the cold. The beach is this way at Copacabana Tanning Salon, where it's never too late to get naked.
You're listening to Afternoon Tea on 1110 WYRM.
We need to break.
All right, welcome back to Afternoon Tea with the Hampton Roads Tea Party. We were just sitting here discussing the 85th delegate race while we were off the air.
All right. And don't forget, hrtparty.com. That's where you can find us. You can find us on Facebook. And again, our website with hrtparty.com. It talks about all the different 5 cities that we have our chapters in. Suffolk, Portsmouth. Give a shout out to my friend Jennifer Latham out in Portsmouth. She's a member of our Tea Party out there. Norfolk, Virginia Beach. Find us. We're looking for you.
Well, we do have chapters everywhere, so if you can't find us, again, you're not looking. But if you just want to mail checks, let me give you my address. And put my name.
I know. Stop by Copacabana Tanning, and you can drop off a check there.
Yeah, what's that? It's never too late to get naked?
Yeah, that's our slogan.
I personally, I'm going with it's too early to get naked. This is not the place.
Do it.
Well, let's talk about the 85th delegate race.
That's right.
Gary Byler, Jeremy Waters, Scott Taylor.
Yes.
I think it's getting kind of ugly.
I just think it makes them all look so childish, and I tell you, with all of their campaign strategists and consultants, I just think they give them bad advice when they put this kind of ignorant stuff out there.
Well, I agree with that. I thought when we hosted a debate/forum,
it was very clean.
It was.
It was very clean.
All 3 of the guys were on top of their game. They had great answers, and that includes Jeremy Waters.
Right, he did.
May not have the support and the name recognition that Scott.
Well, and he didn't have the
had.
answers that everybody wanted to hear, but at least he spoke from his heart and spoke from what he believed in.
Oh, I thought
and
he
I
had
can
great
respect
answers.
him. Well, no, he did, but I would say that his overall answers were not the ones that people would have agreed with that would have given him votes.
Or more importantly, giving him money.
Well, that too, that helps.
Yeah.
But for overall, I reached out to each candidate at the end of our forum and made sure I said, did you feel comfortable in the room? Did you feel like the questions were being asked fairly? Did you feel like anyone was targeted, not by the IRS, but maybe by the Tea Party? And they all 3 agreed that it was ran very well. It was, and there were several elected officials in the room as well that agreed that the forum was done very professionally. So
I think I heard Ken Longo on with Chris Kettner, I believe it was last week, say that he probably would have done things a little differently, and that's okay. That's his choice. I think his biggest difference probably would have been the format in which the questions were asked. He would favor letting the people ask the questions. But what I found
well, he does forums all the time, and he has people write them on a
Right.
3x5 card, which is what we did. So that's kind of odd that he would say that.
Well, I think
that's
in
what
this
he's talking
particular
about.
venue, he thought that would be more appropriate because of, the mix of the crowd and everything
well,
else.
and I thought,
I just don't like people making speeches
Right.
instead of asking a
well,
question.
not only that, but some of the questions that were turned in were inappropriate, in my opinion, to
Oh, mine
ask.
too. Mine
right.
as well.
So I prefer the questions being asked on a card, and if the person asking the question would like their name to be recognized so that the candidate can address them directly, that's what I like to do. And that way it's a straight question, which you and I both read. I read a question, you'd read a question, and I would acknowledge the person if they put their name on the card. And so I just like that.
No, it worked
gets
out
rid
pretty
of the
good. It
speeches.
worked out pretty good. I
Yeah.
had a couple of questions. I wish Gary was here to address this. And I wanted to find out about Speaker Howell. Had he had any conversations with him? Because I think that,
Right.
as a rookie, as your first term
Yeah.
delegate, you're generally not going to get much legislation with your name on it.
Right.
They're just going to look for you to be a backbencher.
Yeah.
You back us up.
Well, my understanding is Howell, Delegate Howell, he's quite in charge of the room.
Oh,
he
yeah,
doesn't
absolutely.
let much get through.
So if you haven't had conversations with him, particularly like the committee assignments that people would consider plums,
Right.
if you haven't had those conversations with him and you don't have a relationship with him, you're probably not going to get assignments worth having, really. So that's what I really wanted to talk about, because Gary's been in political circles for a long
35
time.
years.
Yeah.
He worked with Ronald Reagan, and I hold that a lot of respect for that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's
Not some Johnny-come-lately, and he certainly didn't move into the district just to run for office.
Well,
He's lived in the district all his life. His kids went to
true.
school.
but
Everything.
people do move, and I'm not going to assign.
No, but I
reasons
just think it's
for it.
ironic if you move into the district and then just happen to run for office. I just think there's a little more irony to that.
Yeah, a litany of offices.
Yeah, a litany of offices, exactly.
But I'll tell you this. Jeremy Waters seems to be an upstanding guy, former Marine.
I do like him.
Yeah,
I have a lot,
yeah.
and I think he's running a class act campaign.
He comes across so, he's a big guy. He's really kind of
I
intimidating in a way.
know. You kind of look like a hobbit next to him.
And he talked about playing football, and I can
think
see
he was
that.
a linebacker.
Yeah. I want him as a guard. If I'm a quarterback, I want him as a guard.
He's a good man. I think he should stay at politics. I think he's got a lot to learn. I think he's a freshman here, and I think he should
become more involved with the GOP in Virginia Beach, because I think he has a lot to offer.
I absolutely do.
Insight.
Right.
On the other hand, Scott Taylor, he's fairly young also, but he's been around.
He's around my age. He's our age. Well, he's younger than you.
Well, thank you for pointing that out.
Sorry.
Has anybody seen my cane?
I know. No, you've got a walker. You don't have a cane.
Yeah, I got to get to my wheelchair. Anyway, Scott Taylor, in case you don't know, he is a former Navy SEAL. He's served in various assignments overseas. And if you don't know what a SEAL is, once again,
ouch,
you don't want to know.
You don't want him looking for you, that's for sure.
Yeah,
maybe he should work for the IRS. He could help him out.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he was working for the IRS, I bet you their collections would be down.
Exactly. Less people would owe money to the IRS if they put the seals in that. Please do not take this as a suggestion.
He's a serious leg breaker right there.
Exactly.
But Scott has some good ideas. I think if the Hampton Roads Tea Party were not supporting Gary Byler, then obviously Scott would be the go-to guy.
Right.
And it's no slight towards Scott.
Absolutely not.
He's got the credentials, he's got the resume, but Gary has worked with us on so many issues, particularly like getting back to conventions from primaries. Mm-hmm. That was a major turn of events.
I tell you, I think that a convention, and there's so many people, we had 7 lieutenant governor candidates there, and it took a long time. It was like a 13-hour day. You and I both were there from the beginning to the bitter end.
Well, that's good, because that's our next subject right there. We work right into it.
Go right into it. But I just feel, regardless of how people may like the turn of events and how it may have turned out, your candidate may not have won. This is the best and the most fairest way to pick a candidate. You have the people that are most engaged, most informed, making these choices, and it really stops the establishment from buying votes.
Well, I bet you the people who didn't prevail would disagree with you on almost every
I know.
But isn't that the case, though?
Yeah,
most of the people running were pretty good people. Yeah. But for those of you who didn't know, E.W. Jackson is our candidate for Lieutenant Governor. Right. Mark Obenchain is our candidate for Attorney General. And Cuccinelli is obviously the Cooch. He's our governor. Yeah. Our governor nominee.
Well, I tell you, you're not going to have, I have not seen, and I certainly don't have the history that Gary Byler has, but I have never seen a more constitutionally conservative ticket as this one right here.
And that brings up a good point. When you say constitutionally conservative, the Tea Party has been labeled and
that means
targeted.
Racist. That means racist.
Well,
it's
not
so
only
ridiculous.
Racist, but extremist, and they virtually call us terrorists.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well,
really.
and that coming from an extreme regime that's running our government right now, and you see how they're attacking us with the IRS.
Is that a drone I see outside?
I know, they're targeting us now. What are those things in the window?
Oh no, I'm sorry, that was a bird.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited.
I was getting ready to duck. I was looking for my walker.
No, your wife said get your Depends.
Well, I need some if that was really a drone.
No, that's right. I won't borrow a pair myself.
Yeah, but anyway, this ticket, you're right, is certainly very grassroots oriented.
Absolutely.
And all of them are strict constitutionalists. They're not these new wave politicians where it's a living document. I wish somebody'd show me one of those living documents, and I would show you somebody that's doing some serious drugs.
Exactly. There's some hallucinogenics. There's nothing living there.
Hey, that document's moving. I think it's alive.
It's Quaaludes.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is our founding fathers did a pretty good job, and their intent is clear. And these guys should enforce it. And I think
absolutely. Well, they called them, the extreme left. It's so ironic that they would label them as the extreme team when there's such an extreme left that's saying that. And as far as I'm concerned, they're the dream team.
Yeah.
They're not the extreme team. They're the dream team. And I am just elated that they are running for office.
Well, I tell you, if you didn't have an opportunity to read that Kobe Dillard op-ed a couple of days ago, I think you posted it
Awesome.
on our Facebook
Oh,
page.
my gosh. It was awesome. Kobe Dillard
It
was amazing.
And it brings up
Good
some
for him.
very
Good for
valid
him.
points. And is Jackson wrong when he says Planned Parenthood has killed more black babies than the
Millions!
KKK?
Millions!
And so that's provocative language, certainly.
But it's
Is
true.
the issue factual? And so the question that comes to my mind is this just a ploy by the liberals or those on the left to
Right.
distract from an actual issue? Because I've had many conversations with E.W. Jackson,
Absolutely.
and he is not as extreme as they would have you believe.
Right.
In fact, I don't find him extreme at all. I find him very patriotic. I
Yep.
find him believable. And
I think he's very grounded too. He is a moral man. He's obviously a constitutional. He's a patriot. He's a very well educated man, and I think he's more than equipped to hold this job. And I'm excited to support him.
he's personally offended that because he is pro-life.
Sure.
But let's face it, is the lieutenant governor going to be the deciding factor on pro-life issues?
I mean,
don't-
come on.
I
It's
really
just
don't
that's a stretch.
think so.
I don't know. Let the IRS determine it.
Yeah, well, we know how that'd go.
Yeah, I'm going to take my
They
jabs
would audit
everywhere.
the whole
I can.
General Assembly.
Exactly.
But look, the LG only has two things that they need to do. One is cast tie-breaking votes, and those tie-breaking votes can only be if it doesn't involve a judgeship or budget issues, and be prepared to step into the office of the governor should something bad happen. You know?
Right.
So, in any case, those are the only two things. But we'll get back to this
Right.
after these messages, and we'll cover a little bit more about that GOP ticket, because that's really what we need to
Yep.
find out. Is he extreme or not?
Right.
So
Stay
we'll
tuned.
be right back after these messages.
You're listening to Afternoon Tea on 1110 WYRM.
All right, well, welcome back to Afternoon Tea with the Hampton Roads Tea Party. I'm Keith Freeman, chairman of the Hampton Roads Tea Party, and Waverly Woods, chairwoman of the Virginia Beach chapter of the Hampton
Thank you
Roads
for
Tea Party.
joining us. Thank you for joining us.
We were discussing the GOP convention and the ticket that has been forthcoming. E.W. Jackson, Lieutenant Governor, Mark Obenchain for Attorney General.
Right.
And then we have at the top of the ticket, the Cooch.
Gooch. Woo-hoo!
So, and we led into the Kobe Dillard op-ed that was a couple of days ago, and how he...
If you haven't seen it, go to Pilot Online, and you can find Kobe Dillard's op-ed online as well. I read it.
It was very
really,
thought-provoking, and
yeah.
what he was saying is, let's get past the rhetoric and the heated talk and address the issue that EW brings up,
Right.
which is Planned Parenthood and the damage that they have done to the black community.
Right.
And other issues similar to that. The left is claiming foul. Oh my gosh, he's so extreme as to not be, worthy of acceptance in normal society. We ought to lock him in a back room.
Right.
Well, maybe that's just the IRS.
Well, I just feel like he is a man with faith and high morals, and
He's passionate.
he's very passionate. And I think that the far left likes to marginalize people of a Christian faith. And I think that's what they're trying to do to him.
Well, in some respects, I think we should downplay, if you will, the side issues and focus on the money issues. I mean, if we're talking about fiscal responsibility, I don't think you'll find a more conservative ticket than this.
Absolutely.
Certainly, it would be a far cry from where we have been. So I think in that respect, maybe there are some legitimate complaints. You don't want to be sidetracked with social issues when essentially the average person will never have to deal with them. I mean, so they take exception with Jackson for his heated rhetoric on Planned Parenthood and his pro-life stance. That's okay. What is the opportunity for him to actually be able to cast a tie-breaking vote on an issue that would affect Planned Parenthood? Probably slim to none.
Right.
But when you're talking about roads, schools,
The core principles of
yeah,
government.
public safety,
Right.
these issues, he will, in all likelihood, be instrumental every day and it will be more closely aligned with the average Virginian than any other issues that they deal with. So if you're going to be talking about issues, then stick to the issues where you're going to be dealing with somebody like 90% of the time. If you really want to be distracted, then listen to the left. I mean, contribute to Terry McAuliffe. Not that he needs you. I don't think he's had a fundraiser in this state, has he?
No, he's had them all from California. He's had them from Connecticut, and they're all big Hollywood stars and social media gurus that have made millions, making either films or doing something on social media, and nothing to do with the state of Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have that. I haven't seen any contributors of any consequence from the state of Virginia on his VPAP. I mean, it's just...
Of course, there's nobody really that can stomach this guy when it comes right down to it. This is a man who, when it actually comes down to the debates, he will certainly be able to name some cabinet positions. But when he was put on the spot by
he's done his homework now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they said, memorize this. Here's a list of cabinet positions.
Exactly.
And the first one he's going to ask about is, where's that liquor cabinet? I don't see that on the list.
Exactly. Belly up.
Yeah. He's not kidding me, and I hope that the public is educated enough to remember the fact that he couldn't name a cabinet position. So when he comes out there and says he's thoroughly knowledgeable about state government, you can throw the BS flag out on that one.
Right. Well, he could tell you about some cars being manufactured in Mississippi, but he certainly can't tell you about them here in Virginia.
Oh, no. And I'll tell you this, that if you want to know how the government functions in the state of Virginia, Ken Cuccinelli is absolutely brilliant.
Hands down.
And listen, we talked about Obamacare, and I think I mentioned this previously. He brought up the issue of the legal challenge from the state of Virginia that he was spearheading. And I had several obscure cases I had jotted down thinking that these were applicable. And I want you to know that he covered every one of those. So I absolutely had no questions at the end of the point where he was done talking about the issue. I didn't have anything to ask him. He had covered everything.
And he covers it thoroughly without filibustering your time, so you don't have time to really get to other issues. He actually will answer the question thoroughly and move on to the next question without leaving you going, okay, shut up already, let's get to the next question.
Oh, no, he's concise. He's professional. He gives you the information you want. He puts it in a format that you can digest, you can understand. It's not full of legalese. It's simply like, this is good, this is bad. It's that clear.
Right.
You will leave, anytime that he makes a speech or a presentation, you will leave there knowing where he stands. It won't be wishy-washy. You won't say, well, how did he feel about that again? I'm not sure what he said there.
Right.
So,
well, I'll tell you, just on a personal note, anyone that is in earshot of this show and you are not registered to vote, you are not a constitutional conservative, you are not someone with any faith, morals, and principles to the founding fathers of what drives this country and what created it, you are part of the problem. If you are not registered to vote and your neighbor is the one that says, oh, yeah, I agree, and they are not registered to vote, you are a part of the problem. Take a stand and actually get in the game. Get off the bleachers, get on the field, help your friends, get some true constitutional conservatives, and get government back on the track of what it's supposed to do and not attacking the people that support it.
Well, that GOP convention, let's get back to that for a second, because that was interesting. I heard some complaints.
Bunch of crybabies. Here we go.
They are legitimate in some respects, but for the most part, I don't believe they have the full picture. I heard some complaints that a convention versus a primary disenfranchises those in the military, and that it was prohibitively expensive to go there and attend that because you had to go, possibly stay overnight, spend the whole day, maybe take off a day. And I countered that by saying, okay, maybe some people cannot make the convention because of timing purposes. If you're in the military and you're deployed, it's obviously not possible to do so.
Right.
Yes, you have to take a little bit of time off from work. And yes, you may have to stay overnight. And as with this one, it was a long day.
It was a long day.
But it's obvious that the primaries favor the establishment candidate and the well-heeled candidate. And I guess my primary consideration is this. I don't want the voter who watches TV and makes their choices off of sound bites
Or
to be the decision
emotions.
makers.
Off of emotions.
Now, these people that attended the convention, I think, were educated on the issues.
Absolutely.
They were passionate. It was clear that when you had discussions with virtually anybody that attended that they were very knowledgeable in politics and the issues. Didn't you think so?
Absolutely. There was not a person in that convention hall, and there was well over 8,000 there. And you could have any conversation. I felt, oh my gosh, I'm actually talking to people that get it, that understand what's going on. And so it's just, and whether they supported another candidate or not, you weren't talking to a blind person. You weren't.
The conversation was two-way.
Right.
It wasn't like you're talking Hebrew or something to these people, or they're talking Greek to you.
Right.
Like, what'd you say? What's that about?
You knew. You could mention an issue. You could mention a bill, whether it passed or failed, and they could give you a response, a well-educated response. So I just think that, making a pretty commercial shouldn't be the thing that drives this country and helps get someone elected.
Yeah, who's got the best soundbite?
Right.
Is that the criteria? Who's got the most money in the bank?
Exactly.
Let's face it, Bill Bowling had $1.5 million in the bank,
right.
and Ken Cuccinelli had about $400,000. But Bill Bowling was cognizant of the fact that Ken was very well respected in the grassroots circles, and so he had a lot of support from the average citizen, not the establishment.
Right.
So essentially what that boiled down to is a concession on his part. When he withdrew, he was conceding, even though I outgunned this guy with money and endorsements.
He doesn't outgun him with people.
Right. And that's the whole point. So in some respects, the convention has been proved with that alone.
Right.
Now, I am again cognizant that sometimes you do disenfranchise the military to some degree because if they're deployed, they don't have the same options. I'm not sure how that would play out in a primary. But either way, I'm willing to concede that small point for the overall qualitative advantage, I think, of a convention.
Right. Well, again, it takes the money off the table and it puts informed voters in the driving seat. And that's what I believe the establishment doesn't want. It wants to be able to control the narrative. And people like you and me and the others in that room, it wasn't going to be done. And I'll tell you, if you're worried about E.W. Jackson, give the man a microphone. The riveting speech that he had at that convention, I mean, we sat together. It was me and you and Tammy and, Robert Dean was in front of us and it was just...
I woke him up a couple times.
But we were all, as soon as E.W. finished speaking and the roar of that crowd, and we were clapping too because I was like, yeah, I love it.
Well, his supporters certainly were passionate.
Wow. I mean, if the man can do that to that room, what might he do to the state of Virginia?
I think he'll certainly energize the average voter.
Let's get him going. I just think, give the man a microphone, let him go.
The thing that I fear most is them demagoguing the issue of his pretty strong words. Instead of listening to what he's saying, they're tearing apart the message before they've heard the message. So I really think that they need to sit down, listen to what he's saying, parse the entire subject that he's talking about.
Well, look at the facts
behind. Does it have
behind.
merit or not?
Right. Look at the facts with what he's saying in regards to the KKK, which was the Democratic Party. If you look at those statistics and what he actually said, he's right. He's right.
Well, that's true. I agree with that, and I just think that they need to give him a fair shake. We've hardly even mentioned Mark Obenchain, so
I know we haven't even gotten him. He's so non-controversial.
I know, but he is one of the most brilliant men I've ever met.
God bless. I'm so glad I got him on speed dial.
Yeah, we're coming up on a break, but when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Mark Obenchain and how he can possibly help us with the IRS problem.
Oh yeah.
So we'll be right back after these messages.
And don't forget, we're at hrtparty.com.
You're listening to Afternoon Tea on 1110 WYRM.
Yeah, I do know Scott Taylor's got a lawsuit.
All right, well, welcome back to Afternoon Tea with the Hampton Roads Tea Party. I'm Keith Freeman, chairman of the Hampton Roads Tea Party.
And I'm Waverly Woods, the chairwoman of the Virginia Beach chapter of the Hampton Roads Tea Party. And we are at hrtparty.com. We're also on Facebook. find us. We need your help. Get off the bleachers. Get on the field.
What's that website again?
HRTparty.com. Does sound like a commercial.
Yeah. Well, look, let's get back to the GOP convention and the ticket
Mark Obenchain.
We barely even scratched the surface. Mark Obenchain. Look, I like all of the candidates, but I'll tell you, I've had the most interaction probably with Mark Obenchain.
He is a class act.
That's the exact phrase I was going to use.
Oh, good.
That guy is something else. If there's a stand that needs to be taken, whether it's popular or not, he's going to take it.
Yes.
I mean, I really have a great deal of respect for him. He demonstrated that last fall during the election.
Yes, he did.
He supported some candidates that were not party favorites, but he definitely said, these are the guys I think are best.
That's right.
Like them, vote for them, don't vote for them. I know them, I like them.
Right. Right. He is amazing. He stands up for what is right, not what is popular. He is guided by principle, not by policy.
That's true. Now, on the flip side of that, he does listen to what his constituents have said. He's a consummate legislator. Years in the Senate, this guy knows how to work the issues, work the numbers. Mm-hmm. He knows how to get things done. He was extremely instrumental. He carried that bill for property rights protection and eminent domain.
Right. Rob Bell was on that bill as well.
But he was on the House side.
Right. He was on the House. And Obenchain was on the Senate, and Rob's in the House, and they both worked diligently to get that passed.
Well, it's a tough package to get passed because in the Senate it was divided 20-20, mm-hmm. and you weren't going to be able to count on Bowling.
Yeah.
Maybe he was looking for McCullough's liquor cabinet.
Exactly. Sure. He was out that day.
Either way. All I know is that Mark Obenchain
He's the real deal.
That through.
Yeah.
And that was nothing less than miraculous. Not 1 year, but 2 years. So that was absolutely astounding, and I applaud those efforts.
And very monotone. Like he keeps an even temperament. He doesn't, you hear people, and we've been up to the General Assembly. We hear what's going on in that room. I mean, you get to sit in the balcony and watch it, and you can hear people go on, and they're just ranting, and they get so emotional, and start to holler and stuff in the room from time to time. Now, I wouldn't say that's the general temperament of the room, but we have heard people do that. And every time Mark Obenchain is consistently even-toned, even-tempered.
The voice of reason.
Yes.
Actually.
I mean, just unbelievable. Like, oh my gosh, I just want to jump over the balcony and start smacking people, but technically I'm not allowed to do that. But there's a couple of state troopers in there that might come get me. But he just is, you never see him sweat. You never see him fidgeting with a pen or shuffling paper. He's very, very calm. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, if you follow sports and you know that people that train for like fights or UFC, cage fighting, MMA, any of these competitive sports, and you hear them say things like, we're peaking at the right time. Even in football, you hear, well, this team is peaking at the right time. I would say that is exactly what happened with Mark Obenchain. He peaked at exactly the right time. Just prior to the convention, you could tell this guy was passionate. His message was crisp. It was clear.
Right.
And to some degree, I would credit Rob Bell with that for making him hone in on the core messages that he was trying to get out there. But he peaked at the right time. He was definitely on it. Every time I heard him speak, I'm like, wow, where was this guy the whole election cycle?
Right. Well, I tell you, and he definitely had his match with Rob Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Rob Bell is a class act, and I just look forward to seeing him doing great things in the future. And it was one of our hardest calls. It was a very hard call.
The hardest call, I guess, I've ever had to make.
Couldn't you just put a schlub up against Mark Obenchain, and then we wouldn't have to worry and stress?
Couldn't we just have gotten Rob Bell to run for another office? I mean,
something.
None of the controversy would have taken place if he had been running for Attorney General. I think there would have been a consensus candidate there.
Right.
On the other hand, if you were at the convention it was certainly a consensus candidate with E.W. Jackson.
Wow.
He led out of the gate.
Out of the gate. We looked at each other, and I was like, holy mackerel, EW's got the room. I had no clue. I mean,
what was it?
all
I think he went
looking.
from 32% to like 38%. And then
he slam dunked it on the way home. He slam dunked it. I'm telling you.
49.7%. So it was only 0.3%, causing us to go to another ballot.
Yeah, that brought us to, the fourth vote.
But he never had to look back.
Nope.
The other
He had
candidates
not
were
a
eating
care.
his dust.
They were. He was like the Secretariat man. He had a lead.
Yeah.
And he had a strong lead. And I'm telling you, we were all just sitting there with our mouth open. And my eyes were bugging out. And I went, holy mackerel, EW has the room. I said, I think he's going to pull this off. And those were my exact words after his speech. And I was not wrong. I just would like to say I got one right.
Yep. You were on it. That being said, these again are our candidates: E.W. Jackson for Lieutenant Governor,
right.
Mark Obenchain for Attorney General, and
right.
Ken Cuccinelli for Governor.
Right.
And these are very, very conservative, principled men.
And if you have principles, if you have any faith in what our forefathers built in this country and getting government back on the side of the people, and you are not registered to vote, you are part of the problem. Get off the bleachers, get on the field, come help us, give these candidates money. For God's sake, go vote. And put a yard sign. Even if you don't go to any rally, get a yard sign. Put it in your yard. Send them $25. Something. But get these folks elected because it is that crucial in taking back our country. It is that important.
Well, I'm looking forward to working with Mark Obenchain as Attorney General because I think he will provide the guidance to challenge the federal government. I mean, obviously with this IRS stuff,
right.
Drone strikes,
right.
NDAA,
right.
CISPA, any number of issues.
We need to give a shout out to South Carolina. Because whether their legislation holds up or not, God loves South Carolina. They have made it illegal to implement Obamacare in South Carolina. And again, whether it holds up or not, I don't care. I'm going to South Carolina.
Well, that's another date and time.
Yeah.
But let's talk about something that goes along with some of those lines. Ted Cruz from Texas. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who just the other day said he's not sure that he trusts the GOP leadership.
Woo!
Yeah.
That is me clapping.
So we have these guys in the Senate right now that are absolutely leading the charge. We have Ted Cruz. Mm-hmm. We have Rand Paul.
Right.
Marco Rubio.
Yes.
And Mike Lee.
Yes.
I mean, these guys are truly, young lions. I
right.
think they're going to be ruling the day, and hopefully their longevity there won't temper their enthusiasm and spirit. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to see him beat down by the GOP leadership, and they're
right.
calling him out. They're calling him out. McCain is foaming at the mouth. You ever see this guy? Oh my gosh! First it was Rubio, then it was Rand Paul. Now it's Ted Cruz.
It's John McCain's fault that we got Obama in the first place.
That man is going to have a heart attack on this issue. I'm telling you. Every time they open their mouths, he just goes ballistic.
I tell you what, John McCain has just made my precious list.
Oh yeah, well he's certainly one of the guys I'm going to look for come 2016.
Exactly.
If Obama was worthy of holding his office, then these guys certainly run circles around him.
Exactly.
I wanted to say real quick, I think you're aware of this. I thought I saw you register for it. The Heritage Foundation
That's right.
is having a town hall at the Westin
right.
on Wednesday, the 5th.
Yep, Wednesday the 5th.
It's at 7 o'clock.
Right.
And their new president is going to be there, former Senator Jim DeMint from
That's right.
where?
It's right.
Your favorite state, South Carolina? No, your favorite state is Virginia.
That's right. I love Virginia.
But Jim DeMint is their new guy, and he's going to be here. It's a big deal, so you guys should show up. Mm-hmm. You can go online and register.
Please, you have to go online, and if you go to hrtparty.com and request the link, we can get it to you right away it's on our newsletter, but you can go to the Heritage website, but you need to get to ours as well and pre-register. They don't let you in without it. It's at the Westin in Virginia Beach.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you guys, not literally, next week.
That's
and
right.
This has been Afternoon Tea with the Hampton Road Tea Party.